Hi, my name is Aaron Moses, and I am in my final year as a biology major at St. John's University, working towards my goal of becoming a neurologist. I was born in India. I have spent my 11 years of living in Queens, New York. A fun fact that really shapes my perspective is that I have been a pianist for a decade. It's more than a hobby, it's my passion that I hope to implement into my medical career by exploring the powerful connections between music therapy and the neurological health. Before I watched the documentary, I already knew about some of the famous women in the Bible. I knew about Eve, the first woman who was tricked into eating the fruit that God told her not to eat. I also knew about Mary, the mother of Jesus, who is often shown as a very kind and a gentle person. Another woman I knew was Mary Magdalene. I read that she was a sinner who was affected by 7 demons, and Jesus cast those demons out of her and set her free and changed her life, and she became a follower of Jesus later on. I also remember Ruth, a woman who was famous for being very loyal to her mother-in-law. Her name is Naomi. In my mind, these women fit into simple categories like mother, the sinner who was saved, and the good friend. Their stories seem to be mostly about men that were around them. The documentary and Rosemary Ruther's writing really changed how I see the women of Bible. Before I knew the common stories where the women like Eve or Delia were often blamed for causing sin or trouble. The film showed me that their stories are more complex than that. It explained the history and the culture of their time, suggesting they had less power and were often judged unfairly by the writers of the Bible. The show also made me to think differently about Eve. She wasn't just a woman who made a mistake. She was curious and wanted wisdom, which is a very human thing to want. For Ruth, the documentary showed she was also very brave and smart. She made careful choices to protect herself and her mother-in-law in a world where women had little power. Ruther's book confirmed this idea. She explains clearly how these stories were used for thousands of years to justify keeping women in a lower position. For example, the myth of Eve's sin was used to say all women are naturally evil or weak, which is not a fair reading. It challenged my earlier knowledge by showing that these tales are not simple facts but were shaped by biases of powerful men long ago. Now I think about these women are not as one-dimensional villains or victims, but as real people living in a very tough world. Their stories were twisted to teach a lesson about obeying the authority, especially male authority. This new perspective makes me to reconsider the stories of other women in the Bible. Now I wonder how their narratives were shaped by the biases of the society that wrote them down, and what their lives might have truly been like beyond the simplified labels that were given to them. Finally, in this course, I'm incredibly excited to deepen my understanding of the methodologies of feminists and womanist in theology. I look forward to discovering more overlooked voices and exploring how their recovered stories can reshape our entire understanding of religious tradition and its application in the modern world.